Alright guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one, we are continuing our exploration of Beijing. I'm in the Jiaodao district, if we can call it that, probably butchering that pronunciation, but we're going to visit this place behind me. This is Great Leap Brewing. I've heard very, very good things about these guys. The bar is pretty cool. They've got a big selection of beer. Let's go in and do as we always do. We'll have a little look at the menu, we'll try some of the beers. If they have some food, we'll try some of that. Let's just have a good time, but definitely cool to try some more mainland Chinese beer. Great Leap Brewing here in Beijing. Catch you guys in a second. Alright guys, so yeah, this is the entrance to Great Leap Brewing, and we're actually in one of the really old streets in Beijing. I have to say these are really cool. It's very different from, you know, the modern Beijing and stuff you see on the TV. So like in these districts, you know, there are people just kind of living here, and yeah, you know, they use public bins, public toilets and stuff like this. It's very, very different, but I love it. I love the vibe here. But yeah, there you can see Great Leap Brewing. They are their opening hours. This place is really cool actually. I love the vibe of this bar. It's like proper kind of street and things like that. So yeah, it's really, really cool. You come in here, this guy's chugging the beer, he's having fun, and then you come through here and yeah, big tap list. This is your bar along here. And then yeah, we're sitting up here in the booth. Here's Mr. Frank chilling. So yeah, I think it's time to get some beer and get started. Right guys, time for our first tasting then here at Great Leap Brewing. I'm hoping the sound's okay. I'm using my microphone. I think I've set it properly, but it's a small place, it's a little bit loud, there's music going. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's okay. But yeah, for the first beer then, I decided to go with the beer that's described on the menu as their flagship one, which is the Great Leap Honey Ma Gold. So this one comes in 6.2% ABV, and apparently it was their first brew and their proudest creation, they say. So it won the silver medal at the 2014 Asia Beer Cup, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's got some Sichuan peppercorns in it as well, so it should be quite interesting. But yeah, as you can see, the glass on this one, Great Leap Brewing, looks pretty cool. When the beer poured, it had about a half finger of a frothy kind of cream coloured head in there. Lovely kind of rich, slightly amber golden colour this one, it looks great. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation with the beer. But yeah, if you're talking a honey gold ale, this is the kind of colour you'd expect. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. Two, length of your wort boil. The longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour beer. Any barrel aging you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour, but you don't have to care about that often. But the honey will definitely play a little bit of a role in the colour of this beer. But yeah, well this one then, in terms of what you'd expect from a kind of honey golden ale, it looks pretty nice. But yeah, I like it. Looks good. So, alright, so let's have a little look at the aroma of this one then. So, aroma wise, not too much to report. A lovely little bit of like white bready character. Backbone like fresh white bready bread crust, bit of cracker, some wholemeal brown bread in there, lots of sweet white bread as well. You definitely get this mix of like honey, biscuit, straight up sweet caramel as well. Yeah, I don't get so much of the peppercorn on the nose, so that's really interesting with this one, I have to say. Yeah, I'm very curious about this. Yeah, for me, yeah, it's malty character is really what you would expect from a normal blonde ale, to be honest with you. Nothing about the peppercorn jumping out too much. Little touch of earthiness, little bit of herbal character on the hoppy side of things. Wee touch floral, nice bright grassiness. Yeah, the way this goes together, I think, is really, really nice. On the fruity side of things, it's got a little bit of pear, it's got a little bit of a little bit of pear, a little bit of apricot, a little touch of fresh green apple, sultana, things like this. These are all things that you would expect from a regular golden ale, in all honesty. So yeah, quite happy with this one. So let's have a taste of this and see what it's all about. This is the Great Leap Honey Ma Gold. Let's taste it and see. That's pretty interesting. Very much like a kind of straight up golden ale, but it's got a little, you can feel a little bit of that peppercorn in the background. So yeah, it looks really nice. It tastes really good. Right guys, so yeah, as I was saying, like you just get a little bit of the peppercorn in the background here, which is really nice. So yeah, it's just like a slightly sweet, slightly spicy, but nice and floral, fruity golden ale. This one, I think it's really, really nice. Yeah, I like this beer. It's quite different, but like I say, I like this one. So. Right, let's break this beer down and describe it more for you then. Middle of your palate, backbone of the beer, fresh white bready bread crust. On top of that, you have a nice little bit of like Jacob's cream cracker, something like that. There's a little touch of woodiness in there, some brown bread on top of that, then a little bit of a fluffier white bread. And then yeah, you have on top of that, you have you just have to start up the sweetness. You've got a little bit of toasty brown sugar, you've got a little bit of a more oily kind of honey type character in this one. And then yeah, you get the sweet caramel and the kind of biscuity notes sitting on top of that. So yeah, in the dead center of your palate, sweet caramel, more biscuit, and a little bit of toasty brown sugar underneath. So like, and underneath that in the bread, you've got the kind of Sichuan peppercorn, which is really, really nice. So yeah, the way that everything goes together on the malty side of this beer is nice too. On the back third of the palate, you start to get the yeastiness, a little bit of like woody character, a little bit of kind of crackery sort of note in there. It goes together really nicely. The back corners of the palate, you've got that nice little bit of earthy kind of character, a wee bit of herbal note as you come further forward, a little bit more floral, a little bit grassy around the front curve of the tongue, and it's good. The front third of your palate is where all the fruity side of the beer comes out, so let's look at that. So yeah, fruity side of the beer for me is kind of what I was expecting from the aroma. You get some like sultana, dry white green grapey characters, a little bit of pear. As you move further forward, there's maybe a little hint of apricot in there, a wee touch of gooseberry, a little bit of kind of fresh green apple and stuff. Yeah, really, really nice this one. I have to admit, I wouldn't have known if I was given this blind. I wouldn't have known that there was peppercorn in this one. The sort of peppery spice is just at the back of the palate and very, very subtle. So yeah, the way that that goes together is really, really nice. Lovely beer, this one. Yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel, mid-bodied, smooth carbonation, a little bit more oily actually, which is quite nice. Yeah, a little bit more oily, very low IBU, maybe like, 15, 20 IBUs, something like this. The malt base, as we said, a little bit toasty underneath, smooth in the middle, a little bit dry sweetness on top. You've got that nice green component in there. Then yeah, you've got that more oily, fruity character to it as well. It's really, really nice. I like how this goes together. Yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This is the first beer we're trying at Great Leap Brewing Company, the Honey Ma Gold. Very happy with this one. Let's see what else the menu can throw up for us. I'll catch you guys in just a second. Cheers. Alright guys, so let's have a little look at the menu here at Great Leap Brewing. So, they've got quite an extensive list of stuff here, so just so you know a rough price reference, when it comes to Chinese RMB, we'll compare it to sterling because I think that makes most sense. 45 RMB is about £5 sterling, so you're talking about €5.50, $6 American for this particular beer here. But yeah, you can see the first beer they have is the Silver Needle White Ale. Then yeah, Great Leap Honey Ma Gold, the Little General IPA. I've heard very good things about this one. East City Porter, Your Opinion Hawthorne Sour, Great Leap Honey Ma Gold again. It's pretty cool. Over here, you've got a few more things. You have the Great Leap Pale Ale number 6, another IPA here, Pragmatic General IPA. Down here, the Unarranged Lager, Banana Wheat, sounds pretty good. Of course, you guys can slow the video down and look at these more closely if you want to. Grapefruit Flood, Hazy IPA, Wild Wall Series, the Wild Crew. That sounds like it could be pretty interesting. Over the next page, on the menu, we have the Chesty Puller, American Pale Ale, Whisper of Love Chocolate Stout. That sounds quite interesting. Waiwu Emperor Barrel Aged Scotch Ale. I think I need to try that, being Scottish of course. The Virtuous General Double IPA, Heartkeeper Goza, the Iron Buddha Blonde. I've not had a Chinese blonde ale yet, so that could be an interesting place to start. Then yeah, the last page, we have the Beer Dictator IPA, the 3-door triple, which I have to say I'm quite interested in. I've not tried a Chinese triple yet either. And then the Tangerine and Pomegranate Soda. So yeah, quite an extensive list of things here available at Great Leap Brewing. So impressed with it, I really have to say that. Let's finish this little look at the menu here and we'll get on to some beer. Right guys, time for tasting number 2 then here at Great Leap Brewing. So the beer that we're going to have a look at now is a style that I very much enjoy, one that you don't come across all that often from modern American style craft breweries these days, and I think this is very likely the first Chinese brewed example of this style that I'm trying for you here on the channel. So yeah, this particular beer is called 3-door Triple. It comes in at 8% ABV, and as the name suggests, this one is a Belgian style triple. So yeah, I've had many good triples over the years. Probably my favourite is the Westmalle, one of the Trappist triples. It's a great beer. So it tells you on the little menu here, it says 3-door Triple is our annual anniversary beer brewed with honey and osmanthus tea. Our take on the Belgian triple has floral notes with hints of orange and banana. It says 10% ABV by volume, and it won the 2016 Asia Beer Cup bronze medal. So this is the weird thing. If you look at this, I'm not sure what to believe, because here on the menu it says 8% ABV quite clearly, but here in the description it says 10% ABV. I really couldn't tell you. But yeah, triple, great style. When it comes to Belgian beers, of course, what they tend to do is they add a little bit of brewing sugar or candy sugar into them. That keeps the light mouthfeel, that gives you that higher ABV during the fermentation. And the triple, of course, is, yeah, it's the very strong blonde beer basically. You've got the quadruple as well, which is the very strong brown beer. So yeah, appearance-wise, this one pours a lovely pale golden straw colour. It looks very nice. You can see, I think to the naked eye, it appears a bit darker. I think on the camera, this one is appearing a little bit lighter than you might expect. 1 or 2 big bubbles on the side of the glass there, and a few little ones went up toward the bottom of the head there. When it poured, it did have a little bit of a foamy, kind of cream coloured head there. But in terms of what you would expect from a triple, this is pretty much what you would expect. Looks great, lovely kind of clear colour there, as you can see. Let's have a look at the nose of this one and see what we have. Yeah, aroma-wise, this beer is very nice. Yeah, it's actually very mild in its aroma. You're not getting too much from it, but you know, there's elements of what you would expect. You can smell a little bit of that fresh white bready bread crust. There's a little bit of cracker in there. There's a little bit of like white bread, a little bit of brown bread in there as well. Of course, you're getting that little bit of like banana, banana bread, doughy, yeasty sort of thing. Yeah, a little bit of banana bread, a little bit of doughy, yeasty kind of character. Yeah, the way that goes together, I think, is really, really nice. On top of that, as I say, a little bit of sweet caramel, McVitie's digestive biscuit. Yeah, the yeasty side of this beer, more like sweet brown bread, a little bit of soft white bread, a little bit of cracker and things. The hoppy side of the beer, very slightly earthy, very slightly herbal, nice floral aromaticity, bit of lighter grassiness in there. The fruity side of the beer, oily pear, sultana, like apricot, maybe very slight pineapple. Yeah, fresh green apple, very nice. Yeah, everything you might expect from the triple. I'm not getting too much of the Osmanthus tea in this one, which is quite interesting. So, as I always say, take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. I think it's about time that we try this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, 3-door triple, either 8 or 10% ABV, really not sure, from Great Leap Brewing here in Beijing. Slàinte, skål, cheers. That's nice. First impression, very oily, very smooth. Yeah, I think this is, it gives you pretty much everything you would expect from the style. You've got that nice leafy quality to it, you've got the oily fruit, you've got the yeasty side of things, you've got that little bit of sweetness. It's a lovely, lovely beer. It's a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, it's good stuff. So, yeah. Where do we start with this one then? Middle third of your palate, the backbone of the beer. You have that lovely, fresh, kind of white bready bread crust in there. A little bit of woodiness, a little bit of cracker. Then on top of that, very slight touch of like sweet brown bread, white bread on top of that, kind of sweet banana bread type characters. Then you've got a little bit of toasty caramel there, and in the centre of your palate you've got that kind of oily circle there, Werther's Original Butter Candy Butterscotch. I think that goes together really well. So yeah, centre of your palate, straight up sweet caramel, Werther's Original, then a little bit of a more McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. Toasty caramel under that, and I think I do get a little bit of that tea vibe out of this one. I think the tea in this one is kind of like infused into the sort of bready side of the beer. So yeah, that's the middle third of your palate then. The back third of your palate is quite similar. You've got those flavours I mentioned, but on the yeasty side of things, the beer, a little bit of brown bread in the middle, white bread, and then a bit more of a kind of fresh white bready bread crust. The hoppy side of the beer, little touch earthy, little bit herbal. As you move further forward, a wee bit more floral, but pardon me, a nice kind of wet, like freshly cut grass type vibe coming out of the beer. So that's interesting. So yeah, the fruity side of this beer is really nice too. Lovely big oily character to it. On top of that, front third of your palate, as always, so you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll their way out of the beer. So at the back of that, you've got big oily pear. You have, yeah, so there's big oily pear there, sultana. As you move further forward, maybe a little touch of dry apricot, gooseberry, yeah, and a little bit of like fresh green apple, something like that. Yeah, the way that all of that pieces together, I think, is really, really nice. Yeah, really, really nice triple, this one. Very good take on the style. The tea is very subtle in this again. much like the Sichuan peppercorn was in the flagship blonde ale. That was really cool. So yeah, this is a brewery that does really unusual styles, I think, or very... I think obscure is not the right word. They do unusual styles, and they're always pretty damn good. So to round off this tasting then, mouthfeel wise, top end of mid-bodied, bottom end of full-bodied. Carbonation is very smooth. Lovely sort of oily mouthfeel in here. And then, yeah, you have a bit of dryness, toastiness underneath, smoothness in the middle, sweet, oily, kind of caramelly character on top, a little bit toasty. And then, yeah, you have, the fruity side of things is more oily and kind of drier into the aftertaste too. IBU-wise, this beer is quite low, maybe like 15, 20 IBUs, something like that, but that's what you expect from the triple. It's a big, oily, sweet, blonde beer, this one. So yeah, really, really good beer, this one. I think we can finish there. This was the 3-door triple, either 8 or 10% ABV. I really can't tell from the flavour. It covers its alcohol very well. Our second beer here at Great Leap Brewing. I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Cheers. So yeah guys, as I'm filming for you, this is my view here. You can see, sitting in the very back corner of the pub, there's the sort of beer garden thing out there. And this is it. We've only got one fan up there. I'm sweating like hell in this video as I film it, but it's a nice vibe, this place. I really like it actually. So yeah, let's crack on and see what else we can get. Oh, I guess he managed to chug the beer. Yeah, there's a beer chug challenge over there. There we go. Let's get back to it. Right guys, time for beer tasting number 3 then here at Great Leap Brewing Company. So, this beer is a return to something a little bit more conventional in terms of style, but it is also still quite bold and out there almost. Haven't tried too many beers in this particular sub-style on the channel, generally speaking. So this particular beer is called Beer Dictator. It comes in at either 10 or 12, I'm not sure what percent ABV. And yeah, this should be quite interesting. So as you can tell from the appearance, this one is a West Coast IPA. The description here in the menu says, absolute power corrupts, but not all chancellors are tyrants. All hail our 2020 beer chancellor, a ruler that wields its power with for the greater good. One of our most aggressive releases annually, this quadruple IPA is generously dry hopped and attenuated for an ABV of 12%. This year's edition contains US Cascade, Simcoe Centennial hops from our friends at Hophead Farms. So yeah, it's an old school sea-hopped West Coast quadruple IPA. I've had some quadruple IPAs, but not too many West Coasts. There wasn't too many of these back in the day, when the West Coast IPA was kind of leading the way, if you like. So yeah, you can see this beer, it pours a lovely kind of blood orange amber colour. The head on this one, about a half finger of a frothy kind of cream coloured head, I would say. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation. It's got a little bit of natural haze to it. But yeah, remember, these West Coast IPAs, they use barley malt for the most part in their malt base. The natural haze in these beers is due to the yeast side, the yeasty content of the beer. But yeah, the colour, of course, is due to basically the type of malts that you use. So just going by the colour of this one, I think it's going to be a bit more of a malt-driven, caramelly West Coast IPA. The more blonde ones in this category tend to lean more toward the kind of bready, biscuity end of the spectrum. But it looks great, I have to say that about it. So, the hops in this one we know quite well. Cascade, Simcoe, Centennial, all American. Cascade 8% ABV, it gives you that lovely kind of peary, oily sort of thing, little bit of grapefruit. Simcoe is going to give you a more passion fruity note. Centennial is going to give you that big sort of lemony, citrusy type note. So yeah, let's take a look at the nose of this one then and see what it's all about. Yeah. Now, aroma-wise, this one is not too pungent in terms of its aroma, but you still get that big hoppy character out of it. The backbone of the beer, fresh brown bready bread crust, a little bit of cracker, a little bit of woodiness, sweet brown bread, fluffier white bread, yeah, sweet caramel, toasty caramel as well. McVitie's Digestive Biscuit for sure. Yeah, brown bread, white bread, toasty caramel, maybe a little touch of treacle in this one almost, highly caramelised brown sugar because of the booziness. Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch. And then yeah, the way everything goes together in this beer really is very, very nice. Yeah, this is pretty awesome stuff, I have to say. Yeah, I don't know if there's too much to say about the malty side of this beer. Now, when it comes to West Coast IPAs, obviously you expect quite a little bit of bitterness out of these beers, 70, 80 IBUs. That's due to your early edition hopping, which is going to give you that big, deep, dank green component. But you can't smell that too much in this beer. There is a little touch of earthiness, there's a little bit of herbal character there too, but some nice floral aromaticity, big sort of grassiness in there, a little bit of spiciness, but not too much, as I say, it's quite mild. For me, oily pear, a little bit of grapefruit, not too much, passion fruit, sultanas, these kind of things. The aroma on this one is actually really kind of mild almost. So yeah, I'm really curious to see what this beer is actually going to have in store for us. As I always say though, take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma, but I think it's time to try this one. So yeah, Beer Dictator IPA, West Coast IPA, quadruple, either 10 or 12% ABV. If it's 10%, it's a triple. If it is 12%, it's a quadruple. But yeah, let's try this one. Slange it. Oh yeah, that's a big, sweet, caramelly, oily, piney West Coast IPA. It's not too heavy in terms of the bitterness and things, but it does give you all the flavours you would expect of the West Coast IPA style. But the breadiness, the brown sugar, the green component, and the oily fruits. It shows you everything you would want from this beer style. Absolutely. Yeah. This is really, really nice. This is absolutely a sipper. This is probably going to take me quite a wee while to finish after filming this tasting. But I'll quite happily sit here and sip on this before probably what's going to be my last beer after this. This thing is a beast. Hard to tell whether it's 10 or 12% ABV, in all honesty. It does cover its alcohol very, very well. But yeah, let's describe the flavour of this one a bit more in depth. Backbone of the beer, fresh white ready bread crust in this one. A little bit of woody character, of course, a little bit of crackery note in there. Yeah. So for me, yeah, a little bit of brown bread, a little bit of crackery note. Fresh brown bready character, white bready note in there, toasty brown sugar. On top of that, in the dead centre palate, a little bit of Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch, sweet caramel in there. I really like that. Malt base of this one is everything you'd expect, but really quite sweet and really quite big. 10 or 12% ABV, you expect that. This thing is a beast. So yeah, really nicely done. Yeah, in terms of the maltiness, I think that's everything we need to say. The yeasty side of this beer, fresh brown bread, little bit of an almost rye bready character, like sweet rye bread, and then yeah, slightly toasty bread crusty notes out of the beer. Pardon me, the green component in this one isn't too bitter, in all honesty. It comes across as a slightly more modern take on the West Coast IPA. There's a little bit of earthiness in there, a little bit of herbal character. As you come further forward, the beer does have a little bit more floral aromaticity. Round the front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy, a little touch zesty. but the green component in this one is more oily. As I say, this beer for a West Coast IPA, it doesn't carry too much bitterness. So that's quite a surprising thing about this one. It seems like more of a modern take on the West Coast IPA, but still really enjoyable. Let's look at the fruity side of this beer then, that front third of your palate. Yeah, so front third of your palate in this beer. For me, base is brown bread, white bread, then you get that nice oily bubble where the fruity juicy esters roll their way out of the beer. At the back of that front third of your palate, you do get a little touch of the grapefruit strength. Very slight peachy sharpness to the beer. But yeah, big oily passion fruit. As you move further forward, there's a nice oily mango in there. Soft apricot underneath. A little bit of pineapple. Oily pear. These sort of things. As you move into the front half of that front third of your tongue, you definitely have a little bit more of like a sort of lemony. There's a sort of more fresh green apple, lemony note in this one. I think that's more the Cascade that's giving you that in this beer. It's a proper old school West Coast IPA, this one. Really enjoyable. Sea hop, I think, is the right way to describe it, although Simcoe technically isn't a sea hop. But yeah, it still reminds me of these very much. Really good West Coast quadruple IPA, this one. I'm quite happy I tried this. But yeah, I think we said everything we need to say about this. It's a big oily, lovely quadruple IPA, this beer. Mouthfeel wise, full bodied, smooth carbonation, very oily and very slick. IBU wise, I think maybe about 50-ish IBU, so it doesn't really feel all that bitter at all. Malty side of things, a little bit dry underneath, smooth in the middle, oily and sweet on top. Then yeah, you've got that big oily fruity character out of this one. Lovely beer, this one, and would highly recommend it. But yeah, it is absolutely a sipper. So I'm going to share this one with friends now. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This was our penultimate beer here, I guess, at Great Leap Brewing, the Beer Dictator IPA, either 10 or 12% ABV. Very hard to distinguish, but still very good. Catch you guys in a second with something else. Try this one if you get the chance. Cheers. Alright guys, so a little bit loud, but here is a closer look at the tap list for you. So yeah, number 1, Silver Needle White Ale. Number 2, Honey Ma Gold Ale. And number 3, the Great Leap Little General IPA. Number 4 is the East City Porter. Number 5, Your Opinion Hawthorne Sour. Great Leap Pale Ale. Number 6. Number 7, Pragmatic General IPA. Number 8 is the Unarranged Lager, which is quite interesting. Number 9, the Banana Wheat. Number 10, Grapefruit Flood Hazy IPA. Then over here you have the Wild Wall Series Wild Crew. Would have been quite interesting to try that. Chesty Puller, American Pale Ale. Great Leap Black House Pilsner. Wei Wu Emperor Barrel Aged Scotch Ale. Virtuous General Double IPA. What's that? The Heart Keeper? Yeah, Heart Keeper goes it. Then the Iron Buddha Blonde, Beer Dictator IPA, 3-door triple, and the Pomegranate Soda. So yeah, quite an extensive tap list here at Wild Leap Brewing. But yeah, really nice bar section as well. So yeah, pretty cool. Right guys, time for our 4th and final tasting then here at Great Leap Brewing. So, as I showed you on the menu earlier, they have a Scotch ale. And the rule on Rampant Lion Reviews is that when we find a Scotch ale, we have to try it. So this is the very first Chinese brewed Scotch ale that I've ever tried. The only exception to that would potentially be the Scotch ale from Yardley Brothers Brewing in Hong Kong. So yeah, this is the first mainland Chinese Scotch ale that I've ever tried. So this particular beer is called Wei Wu Emperor Barrel Aged Scotch Ale. Comes in at 10% ABV. And the description of this one is after years of being cast into selected barrels to age patiently, it is deeply infused with the aromas of whiskey and oak, years of melding with its surrounding elements and further fermentation have launched this craft beer to a new level. Higher alcohol content also enables a stronger and warmer finish. So when it comes to the Scotch ale, of course, everybody knows This is a very malty, very boozy, brown sugary, sweet style of beer. And this one I'm sure will be no exception. So when this beer poured, it had about a half finger of a frothy, I would say light fawn coloured head. The beer itself is a kind of chestnutty colour, not too much in the way of visible carbonation except for this side here. I think you can see that there. But yeah, it looks very, very nice, this one. Remember, when it comes to brown beers like this, the barrel is going to affect the colour of your beer a little bit, but not too much. But yeah, as I say, my first Chinese brewed Scotch ale, so I'm very, very curious about this one. But appearance-wise, nothing unfamiliar or unusual about the appearance of this beer. Let's have a wee look at the aroma and see how we get on. Very curious. Yeah, I will say straight away, this beer smells very, very familiar. So in terms of Scotch ale, you know, these beers in Scotland are often called the shilling ales, and the shilling is of course a reference to the pound sterling before it was decimalised. So you know, the shilling was the division of the pound before you had pence, basically. So you used to have 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 shilling. That was denoted by a slash and a dash afterwards. So basically, the higher the shilling number, the more malt you had in the beer, the more alcohol there would be, and thus the more tax you would have to pay. So most modern takes on this Scotch ale are 80 or 90 shilling, but the big boozier ones, such as this, will probably be 160. Some modern examples of this style would be the Old Parochial from Tempest Brewing in Scotland. Old Jock is a more traditional one from Broughton Brewing. And there are a few others as well. But yeah, in terms of appearance from a Scotch ale, this is what you would expect. We'll talk about this one when we taste it as to what shilling this beer would probably be. But yeah, aroma-wise, it gives you what you would expect. There's a lovely little bit of a kind of toasty, brown bready breakfast in the backbone. You've got some nice nutty elements in there. You've got a little bit of woodiness, rye bread, brown bread, a little bit of white bread in there as well. Like I say, like pecans, almonds, walnut. You do have this little bit of oaky vanilla type quality in this one. You can smell the wood in this beer, but I've always felt that in keg pour, barrel aging is not as obvious as it is with bottle or can beers. I have to say that. But yeah, toasty brown sugar in there, a little bit of treacle molasses, Werther's Original butter candy butterscotch, straight up sweet caramel. Yeah, let's see, a little bit of nuttiness and vanilla into the aftertaste. A lot of fudge as well, actually, with this one. Yeah, the more that you smell of this one, the more you get the kind of Scotch whiskey notes out of it. Yeah, the Scotch whiskey side of this beer is quite, it's quite caramelly, quite nutty, very slightly aromatic. That makes me think it's probably a Speyside barrel this beer has been aged in. So yeah, the brown sugary note. Speyside whiskies tend to be very smooth and very brown sugary. So that I think is definitely the case in here. On the hoppy side of things, a little bit earthy, a little bit herbal, nice floral note, nice grassy character. The fruity side of things, a little bit peary, a little bit more figgy, I would say. Yeah, a little bit peary, a little bit figgy, maybe datey. Date is a good descriptor for this one. Some blackcurrant as well. Very likely Bramling's Cross or from England or Williamette from America have been used in this beer. That's just what's coming out from memory and experience. But all in all, it smells like a beautiful Scotch ale, this one. I'm very curious to try it. So yeah, Waiwu Emperor Barrel Aged Scotch Ale, 10% ABV this one. My last beer here at Great Leap Brewing. Let's have a try of this and see what we think. Slange. Yeah. It actually comes across as more like a Flanders red. It's actually got a bit of sourness and a bit of almost vinegary character to it. I don't think that's quite right, in all honesty. Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. This beer is infected. Yeah, it has a really vinegary note to it. It doesn't taste like a Scotch ale at all, actually. So yeah, this one shouldn't be served, I have to say that. And that's a shame, because all the beers that I've had from Great Leap up until this point have been very, very good. So yeah, that's a bit of a strange way to kind of finish it off. I mean, even if you let the beer sit in your mouth a little bit, it really comes across more as like a very sharp, vinegary Flanders red than an actual Scotch ale. That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, as I say, really very much like a Flanders red. I do wonder if they've given me the right beer. Let me just check 100%. Right guys, so to continue with this beer then, I asked about this one. They said it's brewed with wild yeast. They're determined it's a Scotch ale, but really it tastes more like a Belgian red. Yeah, it doesn't say that in the description that it's brewed with wild yeast. Yeah, and that was the thing. I told the waiter, he said, oh, it's very strong. That's what he said to me, it's very, very strong. And I said, well, yeah, like it's Scotch ale, I'm Scottish, I know what Scotch ale tastes like. But yeah, he didn't tell me that it was brewed with wild yeast. That was the thing. That's why this beer tastes more like a Belgian red ale, a Flanders red, something like this. Old Brewing is the other one. So I think we have to examine it in that context as a sour beer. So let's go forward with that in mind. So yeah. So yeah, when you take this beer in, the backbone of the beer, you do get that oakiness in there. You have a little bit of a kind of vanilla note to it. A little bit of brown bread, a little bit of white bread, a wee bit of vanilla. But yeah. Yeah, it really doesn't come across like a Scotch ale at all. This is like a Belgian Flanders red ale. It really is. So I have to say that on this one, poor marketing. I got quite excited that this was going to be a Scotch ale. It's not. It's absolutely not. Belgian red. So yeah, you do get a little bit of caramel, you get a little bit of a brown bready note out of this one. Toasty caramel, Werther's original butter candy butterscotch, but not very strong. This beer really is more leaning toward the sour side of things. At the back of your palate, it's more you know, you've got a bit of the yeasty character in there, but it's like brown bread, bread crust, sort of toasty notes in there. But yeah, it really is not a Scotch ale, this beer. This is a Flanders red, 100%. Yeah, I really don't understand why they're marketing this one as a Scotch ale. No way is this a Scotch ale. On the hoppy side of things, it's got a little bit of earthiness there, a little bit of woodiness, a little bit earthy, a little bit herbal. As you move further forward, a wee bit floral, a wee bit grassy. Again, hoppy character in this one is not too prominent, to be honest with you. The fruity side of things, so yeah, when you take the beer in, You have a little bit of that sour beer impact, a little bit cherry-like, vinegary. So yeah, for me, there's a little bit of cherry, there's a little bit of woody character in there. Yeah, really, I'm disappointed. It's not a Scotch ale, it really isn't. It's more like a Flanders Red, and even if you consider it as a Flanders Red, it's not balanced enough to be that style. This one, if it's a Scotch ale, it's got infected in the barrel, and it's just turned out badly. That's what it is. This is never in a million years a Scotch ale. Yeah. It's a shame. It is a shame. I was really excited about this one, but it's just turned out at the end to be a bit of a disappointment. Yeah, I mean, other than that, there's a little bit of a pear, a little bit of a fresh green apple. Not too much to report. In terms of the mouthfeel of this beer, mid-bodied, smooth carbonation, slightly oily, slick, a little bit drier. Fair little bit of sourness with this one. Yeah. Yeah, all in all, it's either they're feeling that the waiter told me this one contains wild yeast. It doesn't say that in the description, and he didn't tell me that when I bought it. That's the main thing. Scotch ale should not be brewed with wild yeast. And yeah, the beer is just not, if it's a wild beer, it's just not very well balanced either. That's the thing. So yeah, I think we have to end this review there because it's just a bit of a disappointment, this beer. But it's a shame because the other three were very, very good. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one just now. I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Cheers. Alright guys, well that is the end of my time here at Great Leap Brewing in Beijing, and I had a really nice couple of hours here. I got to try 4 different beers and they were pretty interesting. We had the blonde ale at the start, which had the peppercorns in it, which was really quite subtle, really nice drinkable beer. Then we had the Belgian triple, which had the oolong tea in it, which was really nice, really enjoyable. Then we had the West Coast quadruple IPA, which was a really, really nicely done beer actually. Not quite as bitter as I would expect from the West Coast IPA style, but still really nicely done. We finished off, of course, with the Scotch ale, and like I said in the video, the waiter didn't tell me that this beer was brewed with wild yeast. Now, that's really not normal for a Scotch ale, and the beer tasted a little bit more like a Flanders Red, but that said, it was really vinegary and really strong, so even for a Flanders Red, it was just that little bit too acidic. So I have to say the last beer was a little bit of a disappointment. They've marketed that beer completely wrong in my opinion, but the other beers we tried from these guys were really, really solid. So I can see why this brewery carries a very, very good reputation, but I do think maybe with their English marketing, at least I don't know about the Chinese marketing, they need to be a little bit clearer with that. But I would recommend you come and check out these guys, Great Leap. This district of Beijing is really cool because you've got all the old buildings and stuff like that. It's quite different from the you know, the very new build, modern vision that many people have of many Chinese cities. So it's in a really, really cool place. The people in the brewery are very, very nice. So yeah, definitely worth coming and checking out. Each of the beers here were, you know, they were between like sort of 60 and 90 Hong Kong dollars. I think the 100 actually was the most expensive one that I tried. So yeah, you're talking between 6 and 11 pounds sterling. You know, 7 to 12 euros, 8 to 13 American dollars, something like that. So really nice place to come and check out, somewhere that I would recommend you visit if you come here to Beijing. So yeah, Great Leap Brewing Company, come and check them out. Catch you guys in the next one. I hope you've enjoyed this out and about video. Thanks for watching. Check out my social media, check out Great Leap Brewing social media, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao just now.